Sibling rivalry is something we all know, but what if the stakes were an empire? For Caracalla and Geta, it wasn't just a childhood feud, it was a fight to the death, one that would leave Rome scarred forever. Brothers competing for the Roman Empire, this was no ordinary family squabble. Their feud wasn't about toys or grades, but absolute power, and when the stakes are this high, ambition often turns deadly. This is the story of Caracalla and Geta, two brothers whose rivalry ended in bloodshed. Before we dive into this tale of ambition, betrayal and tragedy, make sure to like, subscribe and hit the bell icon. If you've ever fought with a sibling, this story will leave you asking, how far would you go to win? Let's give it a go. To understand this tragedy, we must begin with the brothers themselves. Caracalla was born Lucius Septimius Bassianus on April 4th, 188 AD in Lugdunum, modern-day Lyon, France. Caracalla was fiery, ambitious, and eager to prove himself. He was the clear favourite of their father, Septimius Severus. His nickname, Caracalla, came from the Gallic cloak he made famous. Geta was born Publius Septimius Geta on March 7th, 189 AD in Rome. Geta was reserved and intellectual, preferring administration to warfare. Constantly overshadowed by his elder brother, Geta grew resentful, a resentment that would only deepen as they aged. Imagine growing up constantly compared to your sibling. For Geta, it wasn't just annoying, it was his reality. Every achievement, every step forward was measured against his brother's shadow. Their father, Septimius Severus, wasn't just any man. He was an emperor who rose from obscurity through cunning, ambition, and bloodshed. From an obscure senator in North Africa to ruler of the Roman Empire, Severus knew the price of power and taught his sons the same ruthless lesson. He once said, "Be harmonious, enrich the soldiers, and scorn all others." But even he must have known harmony between his sons was impossible. Severus didn't just raise sons, he raised rivals. In trying to give them equal power, he unknowingly lit the fuse that would destroy his family. For the first time in Roman history, two brothers ruled as co-emperors. It was a disaster from the start. Caracalla wanted military glory. Geta focused on administration. They couldn't agree on policies, priorities, or even which side of the palace they'd live in. Their rivalry was so intense that they literally built a wall to divide the palace. Sibling arguments are common, but building a wall to avoid your brother? That's Roman extravagance for you. By late 211, the empire was on the brink of civil war. The Praetorian Guard was divided. Senators whispered about choosing sides. Even the common people felt the tension. Rome itself was being torn apart by the brothers' feud. Desperate to avoid a full-scale war, their mother, Julia Domna, arranged a meeting. She believed she could bring them together. But peace wasn't on Caracalla's mind. It was the perfect moment for an ambush. Gap 3 SS. Geta entered the room expecting peace, but walked into a death sentence. As he stepped forward, the air was thick with tension. Caracalla stood still, his gaze cold and calculating. At his signal, assassins struck without hesitation. Geta barely had time to react. The betrayal was swift, brutal, and final, ending their bitter rivalry. Was this fratricide an act of ambition or self-preservation? Caracalla struck first to protect his rule, but the victory was fleeting. In 217 CE, he was assassinated by a soldier, Julius Martialis, likely at the behest of Macrinus, who feared for his own life. With Caracalla's death, Macrinus claimed the throne, marking the fall of the Severan dynasty. Caracalla's legacy remains one of bloodshed and betrayal, his reign remembered as a tragic chapter in Rome's history. With Geta gone, Caracalla ruled alone, but his reign was haunted by blood. Over 20,000 of Geta's supporters were executed. His name was erased from monuments, his face chiseled out of art. Rome belonged to Caracalla, but at what cost? Though he held the throne, Caracalla was plagued by paranoia. He built grand public works, like the baths of Caracalla, but his legacy was overshadowed by his cruelty. The blood of his brother was a stain he could never wash away. Caracalla and Geta's story is a reminder of the thin line between ambition and destruction. Their rivalry wasn't just personal, it became an imperial tragedy, one that left Rome fractured. History is written by the victors, but at what cost? For Caracalla, The empire came at the price of blood. What do you think? Was Caracalla's act one of necessity or pure ambition?